We are live. It is 8 p.m. Eastern as I go live. Free agency or the agreement period is, or whatever they call it, started at noon today. It used to be, I think it was a tampering period, and then now it's basically the agree to terms period. Everybody knows what goes on during this time period. So we are going to break down a lot of what has happened so far. Within the first couple of minutes of free agency today, Alec Pierce was retained by the Colts. They signed him to a 4-year deal worth up to $116 million. So that was pretty cool. I mean, that was within 3 minutes. That was right off the bat. And good call on this one. T Heat says like the stream. I appreciate it. So that was within a couple of minutes. There were a lot of big signings today that we are going to break down, and we also will have a video come out tomorrow that is the biggest winners and losers of NFL free agency so far. So there is a lot to break down, obviously, tonight, and I will also we will go through on Spot Track and break down a lot of the signings so far, because I don't want to miss any of the signings that have been had, and like I said, there will be a breakdown tomorrow as well. So let's go ahead and just dive right in here. There is a lot to break down here. So the first part, or the Colts signing and bringing back Alec Pierce, I like that. I think Alec Pierce is a good receiver. There's going to be conversations about, is Alec Pierce overpaid and everything, but I think that he is a better player than Michael Pittman at this point, and Michael Pittman to me is, I would say, a little underwhelming just at this point in his career. And they also had to give Michael Pittman a lot of money, and it was very much a decision it was a financial decision to get rid of Michael Pittman, as Michael Pittman was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers today. So completely understand that decision. And also within the Alec Pierce part is, as simple as this idea is, you have to, or you are paying players based on what they're going to do. So Alec Pierce is a fine player. And like I said, there is a conversation to be had about whether or not he is an overpaid player. But I think that it'll be fine, and that I like the Colts signing and bringing back Alec Pierce. That was one of the things that they had to do. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Go ahead and put me on the screen here. And hold on. There we are. All right. So like I said, we have a video coming out tomorrow about the biggest winners and losers of free agency so far. I did not like the Jalen Phillips signing to the Panthers. I thought that was a big overpay. That was one for me where I couldn't believe when that deal was made. And I understand that the Panthers wanted to get their guy. I get it, but 4 for 120 for Jalen Phillips to me was a lot for who he is as a player. And Jalen Phillips is a player that, guys, there's substantial injury history here. And Jalen Phillips did have a good season last year. He had over 70 pressures, and I thought that it was it was a good trade for the Birds last year whenever they traded for him. They're going for a Super Bowl title, and I understood that decision. But for the Panthers to give him 4 for 120, obviously 120 divided by 4, $30 million average annual value, that's not what I can get behind. And that's one where I was very shocked by the number. That the number for Jalen Phillips was as big as the number was. And Jalen Phillips also has an injury history. Jalen Phillips, this is not talked about much now, but Jalen Phillips at a point in college was forced to medically retire. Now, Jalen Phillips was a really good prospect coming out of Miami in the 2021 draft, but Jalen Phillips he played at UCLA. He had to medically retire due to concussions, and since being a first-round pick a couple of years ago, this, by the way, will all be hammered home tomorrow on the biggest winners and losers of free agency so far. Jalen Phillips, since he's entered the league, has torn his Achilles and also torn ACL. And if that has me worried about giving him $80 million guaranteed. Now, it would be one thing if this deal was very much, kind of a not a prove it deal, but just if there wasn't a lot of guarantees. But the fact that you are going to guarantee, or that they are guaranteeing Jalen Phillips $80 million, that's a lot. That's a lot. And this edge market, by the way, Odafe Owe, $100 million contract. I never would have thought that Odafe Owe would be a 9-figure contract guy. Good for Odafe, by the way. And if you can't see, because I'm in the way there, Odafe gets 68 guaranteed. I think it's a slight overpay for who he is as a player, but that's, good for Odafe to get the money. But guys, this edge market this year is crazy. And one thing that I will hammer home is this is not a good draft class. Like 2020, the consensus is that 2027 is supposed to be a dare we say a true generational draft class in terms of talent, right? So why we bring this up is because why we bring this up with this free agent class is teams are going to overpay big time for free agents this year. So you look at Alec Pierce, in theory, getting overpaid. You look at Owe getting overpaid. Jalen Phillips getting overpaid. 9-figure contracts for those players, that's a lot. Although Pierce, I more understand of the three. You want to keep a guy home. You want to keep a guy in Indy. And by the way, Alec Pierce turned down more money elsewhere. So good on Alec Pierce or good for, the Colts fan base to retain Alec Pierce. But Tyler Linderbaum is a player that's going to be talked about heavily, and 3 for $81 with Linderbaum is a big contract, but I'm personally fine with the overpay for Linderbaum, and the reason, or the overpay for Linderbaum, and the reason that I'm fine with the Raiders specifically giving Tyler Linderbaum an average annual value of $27 million per year is I want to ask this question as nicely as I can. Now that they traded Max Crosby, can you sit back and name 10 players on this Raiders roster and say, hey, this is a guy that is going to have to be paid X amount of dollars in a year or two? Brock Bowers is obviously going to be the exception there. But my point is the Raiders are not a team that has drafted well over the past couple of years. No offense, Raiders fans. But they're not a good team. Obviously, there's a reason they're selecting with the first overall pick. And Ashton Genty, I made a short earlier about the Tyler Linderbaum signing. I said within the short that Ashton Genty did not have a good rookie season. What I meant by that was he didn't maximize what he could do, and it was not because of him. It was because of how bad the offensive line was. There were times where they were getting moved around, they were getting pushed around. Ashton Genty was regularly getting hit before the line of scrimmage. I'm talking half a yard behind the line of scrimmage. Whether that player is Ashton Genty or Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, whoever, they were not going to come close to being able to maximize what they could do as a player with the 2025 Raiders. So for the Raiders to go get Tyler Linderbaum, $60 million is guaranteed. He's a 25 going on 26-year-old center. I'm fine with it. I don't think that there's anything. I don't think that this is a big, oh my gosh, what are the Raiders doing? I like the signing for the Las Vegas Raiders. I really, really do. And also within this, for the Raiders specifically, they have a quarterback on a rookie contract now. So you're not going, or not technically yet, but they will in less than 2 months. You're not going to have to restructure Fernando Mendoza's contract next year because of Tyler Linderbaum making $27 million a year. And that also applies to Brock Bowers, who at some point will be paid north of $20 million per year. That will also, the Ashton Genty part is 2 or 3 years down the road. So when you look at the Tyler Linderbaum contract, I'm fine with it. And I like it. Now, I want to sort by a couple of teams here. Actually, let's get to a couple super chats here. There's a couple super chats. I want to get to them real quick. Daniel says, just hopping in now, barring a stellar draft or other Howie magic, I think the Birds are cooked. Yeah, this is what happens when you have as many good players as the Birds do, and then you have to decide who you're going to pay. And I do have I'll get more into the birds in a second here. I want to actually break that down more. But Mr. King also says, shout out to the Bucs for making moves, prepping for a rebuild, returning to football relevance will be fun for Bucs fans pre-2020 level stuff. Tough to see Mike Evans go to the 49ers today and then basically say that, or allude to the fact that he likes their outlook a lot more from a franchise standpoint. And I thought that was pretty clearly not like a subtle, or not a subtweet, if you will, but like not a shot at, but it was just very much like, hey, the 49ers are a much, much better team than we are with Todd Bowles, who should not be a head coach, and Baker Mayfield. Now, to go back to this point about the birds here, one thing that I do want to talk about is there are going to be conversations this offseason. And one thing that I do want to heavily emphasize is I don't think that this will happen, but there is a chance, or sorry, not a chance, but it makes sense for the birds to entertain, and again, I'll preface this with I don't think it happens, but there is a reality where it makes sense for the Eagles to entertain trading Jalen Carter. The reason for that is, and don't shoot the messenger here, I'm just laying everything out. So if you're typing away that you're an effing idiot, you're this, you're that, just hear me out. Just hear me out. They just paid Jalen Carter 3 for $78, $65 million guaranteed. Jalen Carter is, I would say, pretty undeniably a better player than Jordan Davis. You're going to have the conversation of, all right, what is Jalen Carter's contract going to look like when the time comes? Milton Williams last year signed a 4 for 104 deal with the Patriots. John Franklin Myers is a player I like a lot. He signed an AAV of $21 million per year. Jalen Carter is, if Milton Williams signed for 25, if Jordan Davis, his teammate, signed for 26, let me back that up. Jordan Davis and Milton Williams each signed for 26. Sorry about that. I might have had the numbers confused. Anyway, they both signed for 26. What do you think Jalen Carter is going to ask for? So there is a lot of, it makes a lot of sense to entertain the idea of getting a first round pick and a player for Jalen Carter, maybe even 2 firsts. And the reason that I also bring this up is because Jalen Carter there's going to be the character concerns part. Do you want to give Jalen Carter north of $100 million with 75 or 80 million guaranteed, considering Jordan Davis just got 65 guaranteed? So don't shoot the messenger on that. I don't think that I don't think that trading Jalen Carter is out of the entire realm of possibility. I did want to bring that up. So that's that part I think should be brought up. All right, let's go to, and by the way, guys, I will interact with the chat all throughout. So I don't want this to be like, hey, we're going to, break down every single free agent signing, like the Saints bringing in punter Ryan Wright on a 4-year, $14 million contract. We're going to talk about the big signings. We're going to talk, interact with the chat, talk about your team, talk about, Joel Perez's team. We're going to talk about a lot within this stream. So anything that's going to be brought up, or any super chats, we're going to discuss. Somebody's asks who can trade for Carter. Generally, I try not to make this about my team every time, but what I would say is with the Birds losing Jalen Phillips in free agency, I think that it would make sense to have some sort of package of Jonathan Grenard and a first round pick and something for Jalen Carter. That's a package that I think makes sense. But again, I preface this with I don't think Jalen Carter actually would get traded. So that's what I would want to say. All right, a couple super chats. Ty Kendall, appreciate it, longtime supporter. Ty says, if the Bengals add Devin Lloyd to this free agency class, I'll be ecstatic. Would be very happy with Chanel too. I think that. Sorry, let me go back to the Bengals here. And by the way, if you have a chat, if you have anything you want to talk about your team, we're we'll talk about it. Brian Cook, Boye Mafe, you add 2 levels to the defense. By the way, Ty, I like I like the Brian Cook signing. I think Boye's that's a lot for Boye Mafe, but you have to pay for talent. We do not know the guarantees of Boye Mafe yet, but I did not personally like the draft picks last year of the linebackers, the 2 in the first 4 rounds. I thought that was a bad process by the Bengals. Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter, I thought that they kind of played like rookie linebackers throughout the year. But if the Bengals were to add either of those players, I would be right there with you. You would bring in a playmaker at every level of the defense, and I would like that quite a bit. All right, my pet bearded dragon says, Ryan Poles wakes up from his yearly nap to make 2 good moves before falling asleep again. Hopefully he wakes tomorrow a little earlier. All right, so the Bears today signed 4 players. Neville Gallimore, I'm all for like a interior defensive lineman, just like that, just a guy that's going to build depth. It's a 1-year deal in reality because it's $5 million guaranteed. So even if he doesn't work out, by all means, that's a 1-year deal. The one thing that I do want to actually talk about here is the Case Keenum deal. I kind of stuttered there. The Case Keenum deal, what does that mean? Is Tyson Bagent for sure coming back next year? Because there's going to be naturally a lot of rumors about Tyson Bagent getting traded, and there were leading up to this week. I know they had all 3 on the roster last year, but is 3 quarterbacks going to be Ben Johnson's standard? I think that's something that should be discussed. Is that the standard year over year? I know it wasn't his first season, but anyway. Kobe Bryant. You upgrade the secondary. That's you take a player from a Super Bowl winning team. I like the signing for what it is, and you can get out of it after 2 years. That's the biggest thing that a lot of these teams. And by the way, Braxton Jones on a 1-year deal for $5 million. That's a really good move for 1 year for $5 million. That's for Braxton Jones. That's with the money that was tossed around today. I'm surprised Braxton Jones did not get more than $5 million. Anyway, but no, I'm actually really surprised he didn't. But the Garrett Bradbury trade for the Bears here. What I will also say is that Garrett Bradbury is not who you think he is. The Patriots would not willingly let a premier center go for a 5th-round pick. So if you are a Bears fan and think that, hey, we have our guy of the future, he'll be 31 years old, he can be serviceable for you here. Hold on, we have a move. Oh, never mind. The 49ers deal with Mike Evans is 3 years, $42 million with 16 guaranteed is what just came across the phone. But now Garrett Bradbury, the Drew Dahlman retirement stinks for the Bears. But there's nothing you can do. All right. Tristan says, don't understand the Blankenship to Houston. Thought they were set at safety. Let's pull this up here. I think that's a really good deal for the Texans for who Reed Blankenship is as a player. I have a couple of Birds fans that are friends that are Birds fans in real life. They were really, really upset about the fact that Reed Blankenship left. So anytime that you have that, I think that's a good situation to be in. If you are the Texans, I think it's bringing in a good football player. And I understand where you are coming from with that, but they bring in a good player. I'm actually going to make myself a little smaller here. Let's go ahead and make this there we go. So that way we can see the actual numbers. I get where you're coming from though. I do. All right. Let's see here. Francisco, are the Cardinals too obvious in their tanking? So I thought the Cardinals actually had one of the better signings today. I really like the signing just in terms of sheer value, in terms of what he's going to bring to the table. I really like the Roy Lopez signing. Roy Lopez, 2 years, 5.75 per year. He's a really, really good depth player. And the Cardinals have obviously hammered home the defensive line over the past couple of years. So I really like what the Cardinals did with that signing today. Gardner's a tough one to sell. I will be direct with that one. That's tough to sell. But I might botch the pronunciation here, but Sumalo, I think I got it. Good signing. Tyler Algier. I want Trey Benson to finally have his chance. I was a huge Trey Benson guy coming out of Florida State, but it's hard to say in any capacity that that's a bad signing. Honestly, pertaining to like biggest winners so far of free agency. Not in terms of like overall, like, hey, the Cardinals added 2.4 wins today or any of that, but in terms of the value that they signed, the players they brought in today, I thought they did a good job, all things considered. So the Gardner one's tough, though, I will be honest. Dan Demand says, I'm ecstatic about re-signing Shaheed. Bit of an overpay, but it'll be worth it. Let's go to the Seahawks here. They brought back Josh Jobe as well. And they bring back Rashid Shaheed, 3 years, $51 million, AAV of $17 million. Sorry, I saw 20 for a second. Threw me off. But anyway. Yeah, I like it as well. And you're also in a position with Seattle right this particular second where Sam Darnold, relative to the player he is, and I mean, you guys know I'm a Vikings fan. I'm not trying to bring Sam down because Sam is an awesome human being. He's done everything the right way. But because of the final 2 games last year, that contract massively benefits the Seahawks. I mean, I love Sam. Very happy for him. But that is a fact that those games brought his contract value down, and that you're able to sign somebody like Rashid Shaheed. If Sam is getting paid $50 million, $55 million, which, by the way, there will be a new contract for Sam at some point where he will get paid $50 million per year, you're probably not bringing Rashid Shaheed back. But John Schneider is one of the best GMs in the business, and the trade for Rashid Shaheed to begin with, I would personally say that him returning the kick against Atlanta when he did in the regular season, and then the punt against the Rams, that alone was more than worth whatever draft capital. You give up a day 3 pick for Rashid Shaheed, oh no. You give up whatever the compensation was, oh no. We secured the number 1 seed because of the Thursday night game. Oh no, we're not going to have that day 3 capital. And then he returns and sets the tone in a divisional round playoff game that game was over after the Rashid Shaheed kickoff return against the 49ers. So, tremendous all around. There's a reason John Schneider is one of the best in the business. All right, my ex-wife, clearly his username, by the way, not my actual ex-wife. Anyway, just wanted to clear that one up. Am I crazy for thinking Monty is a worse GM than Keim? It's clear he's not cut out for this. I would disagree, personally. The thing is with Monty is I can understand where Monty, like the vision with the roster building. That's the biggest thing why I've kind of been a Monty defender. Now, the quarterback situation, I don't have an answer for that. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, Gardner is actually going to, Gardner this year will actually go into, Gardner Minshew this year will actually go into Seattle and beat the Seahawks multiple times. That's actually what's going to happen. So good for Monty Ossenford. I'm not going to say that. The quarterback situation is tough. I have no justification, no defense of that. But in terms of some of the decisions he's made, I can very much get behind them, and especially the process in terms of how we got to where we are today. Ty Kendall, appreciate it, says, per Kelsey Conway, Boye will make $19 million in bonus structure with 7.4. It's good. That's a good deal then for the Bengals. And you're upgrading the pass rush. I mean, kind of in terms of like, if you want to do they're losing Trey Hendrickson, is he replacing Trey Hendrickson, the Boye Mafe? If you want to do that, then they wouldn't be. But I can, like that's a good deal to only pay him that in his first year. So, all right, let's see here. So there were some member super chats that I did not get to, so let's just go ahead and keep it rolling here. And I'm not going to be able to show them on the screen, but how do I feel about the Raiders signings? Love them. Love a couple of them. We'll get to more of that in a minute. The Vikings have barely done anything, so Kyler officially cannot be signed until I think it's like Wednesday at 4:30. So just for transparency there. Titans winning AFC South. It's not out of the question. It's definitely not out of the question here. So let's go ahead. I wanted to get to some more chats because I was kind of like going super chat only here. So let's bring everybody. Let's go here. Let's see here. Rate the Rams signing Jalen Watson. I'm not sure if I'm going to. Where was that one? Okay, whoever asked that, you just saw that, or you know who you are. Adrian asked, rate the Rams signing Jalen Watson. So There it is. I like it, and I actually really like what the Rams have done so far. Hold on. There we go. I really like what the Rams have done so far in terms of this offseason, because they go get Trent McDuffie. They bring in Jalen Watson. And what I will say is, the Rams still have the 13th overall pick in the 2026 draft. So there were times this year where a couple of mock drafts that we've had where I have mocked the Rams Jermod McCoy at 13 and then somebody like Colton Hood at pick 29 or somebody like Brandon Cisse at pick 29. So for the Rams to go get both players, Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, I absolutely love because you lost last year to the Seahawks. I know they had the 4 interception game against Arnold, but Sam had 346 and 3 touchdowns in the biggest game of the year. He absolutely carved them up. Your pass rush is good. You have Jared Verse, you have Braden Fisk, you have Kobe Turner, you have Byron Young, you have everybody on that defensive line. You need help in the secondary. And they've done that so far. So I like it. And next year, if they win the Super Bowl this year, and oh my gosh, they have to pay Trent McDuffie, which they did pay Trent McDuffie, by the way. It was like $30 million per year. It doesn't matter? No, because rings are forever. So I like it. All right, big piece here, 20 piece here. Appreciate it, Nicholas. Nicholas says, I feel like my Patriots are just making under the radar moves. Let's go ahead and pull the Patriots up here. Under the radar moves to focus on the draft, not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know if we'll have that game changer that will have momentum on our side. What do you think? So they signed Draymond Jones and then Reggie Gilliam. The Reggie Gilliam is definitely not going to be one that shows up in the stat sheet. But what I would say about the Patriots is you made a lot of moves last year, and I actually want to pull up the 2025 Patriots offseason last year. So last year, when they had all of the cap after they fired Gerard Mayo, you brought in Milton Williams, Stephon Diggs, Carl. I mean, you can see the list here. Everybody. And when you look at the good contributors last year, Khyiris Tonga is a very underappreciated player. It's not going to be every year you bring a player in like that for $2.1 million. And Kayvon Chason last year was very much it wasn't even a dart throw. It was just very much like, hey, you're a former first-round pick. You have very good traits as a player, physical traits that other players do not have. Here's $3 million with 1.5 guaranteed. Hopefully it'll work out. And it's not talked about enough that Kayvon Chason was like the Sam Darnold of the pass rusher position. So for the Patriots, I mean, in terms of like how his career was to last year and then had the year that he had, you're not going to have every year where even Matt Collins had big catches, several big plays last year. Bradbury was an adequate starting center. Morgan Moses, adequate starting right tackle. Spillane, insane difference when he was not on the field versus when he was on the field in the run game, right? It's just not every year that you are going to have that type of free agency impact. And then Milton Williams, obviously, you know about Milton Williams. And Diggs, I thought, was a good signing for what they paid him. So you're not going to have that every year. That's just the truth. That's the reality. But to go back to this, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad thing. You're just not going to have that type of year every season. And what I will say, if there is kind of like a hot take to, or maybe just one that people maybe not think about, is there is going to be more so this year, I would say, than ever before, or at least more so than other years. You will have teams willing to trade first-round picks this year like candy, because next year's class is like a generational class, and I don't mean the quarterback or that a prospect is. I mean the talent-wise in that class. The 25th pick in next year's class will probably worth like the 11th pick this year, like just to give you an idea of what is projected. And I think you're going to see more trades in the next 6 weeks with first-round picks because teams also know that. And Max Crosby is a good example. Let's keep it rolling here. All right. Saints will win the South. We getting shucked, says my pet bearded dragon. Appreciate it. And the Saints, by the way, the Saints today, I was really, really surprised If anybody has the guaranteed on Travis Etienne, I would love to hear it. I was really surprised with Travis Etienne, $13 million guys, he's entering year 6. And Travis Etienne has had, he had the Liz Frank injury several years ago. He missed his entire rookie season. And he is coming off of a year in which he had over 1,100 yards. That's a lot for him. And the biggest thing for Etienne in this contract is what is the guarantees? There's no way this is more than a 2-year contract. And on Spot Track right now, it says total guaranteed 0. So if you do know, and if this has been leaked, please let me know. Etienne did have a good year this year. I was just surprised to pay a player at the running back position entering year 6, or not pay him rather, but to give him a 4-year contract. Chiefs. Appreciate it. From Bighorn Swogler. Incredible username, by the way. The Chiefs bring in Kenneth Walker and Kyrie Stonga. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love both moves. The old saying that a run game is a quarterback's best friend, believe it or not, also applies to Patrick Mahomes. So, absolutely love both of those moves. And Kenneth Walker is a really good player. The Chiefs' offensive line, when healthy, good. I know they will have to replace Juwan Taylor, but I love both moves they made, and Kyrie Stonga is an underappreciated player. Quickly, by the way, if you guys are enjoying, please like the stream. Helps tremendously. Would be very much appreciated. So let's keep it rolling here. Tony Dom says, as a Broncos fan, very disappointing. I figured that was coming. Let's go and pull the Broncos signings up. You got Alex Singleton. I don't know why JK's on there. But anyway, as a Broncos fan, very disappointing. Didn't improve one bit. Made very questionable re-signings. Finally out of Wilson's contract and don't do anything. Not thrilled, but still early. Let's take a look at some available free agents here. That I don't want just Broncos players. Let's just take a look who is still available for the Broncos. I did not want the Cardinals brought up either. Let's go all teams. And the thing is, there's still a lot of great players out there. You could bring in Kyler Murray. Anyway, no, there's still a lot of good players out there for the Broncos. So I would be eager to see, do they attack the receiver market? Would be surprised if they even entertain Tyreek Hill. I know he's the first player that comes up on the screen. I'd be surprised if they entertain that. But no, there's still a lot of players for the Broncos. It's still early. The biggest contracts at this point have been signed. There's not going to be another. I'd be shocked if there's another 9-figure contract. But I do understand where you're coming from. Salty Pug, appreciate it. Says, sorry if I missed it, but how are you feeling about the Raiders signings? As a Raiders fan, I'm pumped. So let's talk about the Raiders. We did talk about Tyler Linderbaum earlier, and we talked about Jalen Naylor a bit as well. So Jalen Naylor to get nearly $12 million. Obviously, you guys do know I'm a Vikings fan. Jalen Naylor last year had a really good season for what was expected out of him. And as long as Fernando Mendoza can get him the football, more than Carson Wentz, Max Brosmer, and 9 got him the football last year, this is the chance to be one of the bigger value signings of this free agent class. Jalen Naylor, unfortunately, has not had more than 500 yards in a season yet. That, barring health, will change in 2026. He's a really good player. And he was, I would say, out of what was expected from him last year, between him, Addison, and Justin Jefferson, was the best of the 3 in terms of actual performance from themselves, if that makes sense. Like above expectations. Jefferson obviously did not have a good year last year, but it wasn't just because of poor quarterback play. Justin Jefferson also did not have a good year. I promise. I think he'll be back, but he didn't have a good year. Addison also did have a bad year as well. I thought Naylor was the best of the 3 in terms of what was expected from them. And I really like that signing. Tyler Linderbaum, we discussed. I'm not really worried about paying a center $27 million when the Raiders roster is not great right now. And my dream for the Raiders at this point is in 2026, from left to right, the first 4 positions, a healthy Colton Miller, I would love for them to draft Olavavega-Yane, the guard from Penn State, with the 14th pick from the Max Crosby trade. Tyler Linderbaum, of course. And I'm still holding hope. I'm still holding Jackson Powers Johnson stock at right guard. I would love that. That would be my pipe dream. That would improve Ashton Genty by default. Fernando Mendoza would not be going to a poor offensive line situation. So I really like the Linderbaum signing. I really like the Jalen Naylor signing. The Kwity Paye signing, I don't understand. I think that's actually a really poor signing. I don't like that at all. For as much as I like the Linderbaum and Naylor signing, guys, and even Eric Stokes bringing back, by the way, that's a good bring back as well. And hell, even Malcolm Kuntz for 1 year for $11 million. The Malcolm Kuntz part was not discussed like at all leading up. I'm actually like live finding that part out. There's with the hundreds of transactions over the past week, I'm just finding out they brought back Malcolm Kuntz. So I like that. I like the Eric Stokes part. Kwity Paye, why? That's if you've seen Bears fans complain about Dayo Adengbo, it's similar to that. Just why? That's I don't like that one at all. Quay Walker, that kind of is what it is. I'm not a big fan of that either. Nakobe Dean, I would give that probably a B+. Quay Walker, I'm not a fan. But Kwity Paye and Quay Walker, not great, but the others, love. Nick, appreciate it. As always, says very fair take, appreciated, but New England now lacks a legitimate wide receiver 1. Maybe Kyle Williams takes the next step, but we'll see. We're 8.5 hours into the free agency period. And I would say the true offseason, if you will. And we talked about first-round picks are going to be tossed around this year certainly more than next year. So I don't think Elliott Wolf is unaware of that situation. County, appreciate it. Lions have too many holes to fill right now. I thought the Lions, so they lost Amik Robertson. They lost him to the Commanders. They lost Alex Anzalone. They lost Roy Lopez was not a that's quietly that was a good pickup by the Cardinals. But Anzalone and Meek Robertson, that's tough. But they also brought in, I love the Cade Mays signing. I really do love the Cade Mays signing. I do want to give credit to Brad Holmes for the Cade Mays signing. I really do like that. So I understand why you're frustrated and why you think that, but I also like, I think the Lions obviously have one of the better rosters still in the NFL. So let's keep it rolling here. All right, what did we have per Schefter? There was something per Schefter. Is it just me or is this free agent class weak as hell? Somebody, hypothetically, might have made a video on that last week. Might have. And that's, I might have made that video. I definitely, I would agree with you, by the way, that this free agent class is not the best. And that I would also say there's a reason that guys are getting overpaid. It's because this draft class is also not great. So in terms of like guys getting overpaid, that is, you're going to see a lot of that this year. And I think you've already seen that. All right, let's see here. A motivated Dayo Adengbo could shake things up. Good call out. Definitely a good call out there. So if you guys are not already, I am pretty active on Twitter, also getting more active on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, definitely go follow the page on Facebook. We're posting every day on there, but I am active on Twitter, and somebody tweeted the other day, it was pure Bears fan copium about the fact that they did not get Max Crosby. And there's times where I actually laugh out loud at tweets, and this was one of them. This tweet says, rewatching the Max Crosby tape this morning. Yeah, with 5 H's. Let's just say I'm glad we saved the picks. Montez, Dexter, and a motivated Dayo Adengbo. This defense will surprise everyone. And I laughed out loud. I laughed so hard at that. That was good. I mean, that's just peak Twitter. That was awesome. Bears fans cry the most, bro. I swear. I disagree. No comment on who, but I disagree. Ghostly, just no comment with the super chat. Just says thanks for your donation. Appreciate it. So hat tip, appreciate it. All right. Let's see what other chats do we have here. Let's keep it rolling. Somebody super chat here. Ibrahim, appreciate it. If Nolan Smith doesn't step it up next season, the Eagles are going to be in trouble. Yeah, the Eagles. That's let me pull up the Eagles depth chart here just for reference, because this is why I have tossed out the Jonathan Grenard and pick 18 for Jalen Carter trade, because I legitimately think it makes sense for both sides. Right now, you're looking at, for the Birds, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, which I like Jalix, but I mean Aziz is a free agent because he just signed a 1-year deal. Brandon Graham is gonna probably, is Brandon Graham officially retired again? I actually let me just be fully transparent here. Like, I don't know if Brandon Graham retired. Did he re-retire? Even if he didn't, you still have to factor in that, hey, even if he comes back in 2026, he's not going to be here for long. So I full transparency, I don't actually know if Brandon Graham re-retired. That was not one that I have kept up with in terms of the free agent, or not free agent, just everything that's happened this offseason. But anyway, you know that you have to bring in another edge rusher. So, all right, the Rams. Wait. All right, let's see here. Sad to see K9 go. Appreciate it, Calvin, but happy to re-sign Rashid Shaheed. So you said RS, that threw me for a second. Rashid Shaheed and Job. I was kind of like, who? No, that threw me for a second. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I get it. You're a Seahawks. Calvin's a big Seahawks fan. Super Bowl champion, by the way. I would be happy to re-sign Josh Job for the deal that you did, and Rashid as well. All right. There is a super chat, or there's about Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw is a free agent. That is not like factual that the Rams got him. What are your thoughts on the Steelers' free agency so far? Let's pull it back up here. Let's go ahead. And hold on. Let's pull the Steelers back up here. The Steelers traded for Michael Pittman. They lost Kenny Gainwell. They brought in Rico Dowdle. And they lost Sumalo to the Cardinals, and they lost corner James Pierre. Look, James Pierre, I went back, watched his tape today just to make sure. James Pierre is going to be a tough guy to replace. James Pierre is, in my personal opinion, a guy that he's a late bloomer. He has not made any Pro Bowls or All Pros yet, but I think James Pierre is going to be a guy that you see break out in his 30s, and he's going to be like a 5-time first-team All Pro in a couple years. So tough one to lose James Pierre there. That was a tough loss for the Steelers. But the trade for Michael Pittman and the loss of Kenny Gainwell, the trade for Michael Pittman, the trade for Michael Pittman, the acquisition of Rico Dowdle. I'm just not like moved by the Michael Pittman acquisition. And I like Rico, by the way. I do like Rico Dowdle. But he's back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. But for the trade for Michael Pittman, you didn't give up that much for him, sure. I'm just not a Michael Pittman guy. I'm just not a big Michael Pittman guy at this point. And I'm just not like, oh, hey, this is somebody really to buy into at this point. So, and then it seems like we won't go QB this year, maybe next year. I really, and I'm sorry to say this, I really fail to see how right now, how this 2026 Steelers season is going to be any different than the past 5, based on where we are right now, assuming you bring back Aaron Rodgers. I feel for Steelers fans. I really do. Z-Mix clarifies and says, what if the Rams got Greenlaw? Okay, I appreciate the clarification. The Rams, guys, they're a complete team. They are a really, really complete team. So if you bring in Dre Greenlaw to the Rams, you're adding a solid player to a good team. I mean, there's not much more to be had. Like, hey, what if the Rams draft Mekhi Lemon in the first round? He's a good receiver. They already have Puka Devontae. Great, another good player. I mean, sure, their linebackers are not where the rest of the roster is. I mean, the linebackers the Rams have are not as good as the pass rush the Rams have. But it'd be, I mean, right now the Rams are at worst, at least looking at next year right now, a top 3 team in the NFC at worst. They're awesome. They're a really good team. They've done everything the right way. 20 piece, appreciate it from hold on here. Aniaplix. Maybe hopefully I got that one. How are the Cowboys even thinking about getting free agents if they are so much in the negative? Also, how does the Jeremiah Love draft look since the Saints and Chiefs both got a running back in free agency? So, the Cowboys free agency, let's take a look here. They signed Jalen Thompson today for a 3-year, $33 million contract. I like that deal for what it is. They also traded for Rashawn Gary. The fact that the Cowboys actually traded for Rashawn Gary today genuinely seems like another lifetime ago, because there has been so much that has happened today. But with the Cowboys, in terms of them getting free agents, guys, the money is let me actually pull up the Cowboys specific finances right now, because the money, they'll be able, I promise that NFL teams have guys that are paid a lot of money to be able to figure out the money part. They're not going to walk into free agency and basically oh my gosh, we can't do this, we can't do that. They'll figure everything out money wise. And per OTC right now, they're $18 million in the red. That has Rashawn Gary's contract in there as well. I'm sure they will restructure a couple of guys. I'm sure that's going to be something that's going to be a regular with this team, because they have guys that are like Quinnen Williams that could save a lot of money if they restructure, like Osa Digizuwa. I'm pretty sure they restructured Terrence Steele as well. I thought I saw something about that today. So they'll be able to figure it out. And then with Jeremiah Love, let's see here. With Jeremiah Love, Tennessee at 4, Washington at 7. Makes a lot of sense. Both make sense. Also, the Vikings at 18, hypothetically. All right, let's see here. Evan, appreciate it. And by the way, to go back to this Aniaplix, because I appreciate the super chat, I really do. For the Cowboys to, for the Cowboys to sign free agents, I promise they'll figure it out. They'll probably bring in a couple of depth guys. They'll probably, they went the Kenneth Murray route before. I know that didn't work out, but they'll bring in guys that are probably former first round picks. Hey, this is a prove it deal. Hopefully this works out type thing. All right. Let's see here. All right. Evan says, Garrett, is it an overreaction to think that my Lions have regressed so far this offseason? Who would be a good signing for them moving forward, since they hardly did anything today? So, Evan, your Lions. This is what happens whenever you draft as good as the Lions have. Whenever you draft Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra, Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams, Kirby Joseph, I know that's the whole thing there, with the injury, worrying about his future. But whenever you draft all of these players, and then Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, those guys have to get paid. So the Lions right now are not. They're not hey, let's go out and sign this or that player. And they did bring in Cade Mays, which I like. But what is more important right now? Getting Jahmyr Gibbs locked up long-term and Jack Campbell locked up long-term, or going out and giving Jalen Phillips $30 million per year? So I get where you're coming from, but this is what happens when you are as good as the Lions are. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Appreciate it. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Restructure Dak and Lamb, they'll be fine. Agree. Let's see what other moves what other Titans taking Love. That would be where hit either Tennessee or Washington. To me, makes the absolute most sense right now. All right. How do you feel about the Jets moves? They didn't make any splash signings today, but they raised the floor of the defense. Great question here. Great question. Let me go ahead and pull the Jets back up. So the one thing that I will say, I did tweet this out today. This isn't one where I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, this is such a such an awful move. I did tweet out that I wasn't the biggest fan of giving Kingsley and Igbare $10 million, but it's not the end of the world. I don't want the takeaway to be like, oh my gosh, the Jets are the Jets, and make every joke about that. But I do like the Demario Davis signing for what it is. I like the Osai signing for what it is. And I would agree with what you said here, that they raised the floor of the defense, which is what the Jets needed to do. And the one thing that I will hammer home, I really don't like the current outlook of the 2026 Jets, not just because of the quarterback or anything. I just think that Aaron Glenn is kind of on a trajectory where he's almost, it's almost a given that he's going to be fired after the end of this year, because they're probably going to finish with a 5-12 record, and then he'll probably have a record of like 8-26 through 2 years, and then they will probably have to move on because of the public pressure that would happen if they didn't, right? But in terms of bringing in Demario Davis for it says 2 years, I'm not really worried if they cut him after 1 year. Fine. Joseph Osai, fine. You are raising the edge, raising the floor of the defense. That's fine. And Kingsley Enagbare, to go back with this, it's a 1 year deal. You're clearly in a rebuilding year. This is a dart throw. Why I said that I wasn't a fan of the contract was, for Kingsley, I would have preferred like a $5 to $7 million contract, but I'm not going to, oh my gosh, the Jets stink. How could they give this guy $3 more million on a 1 year deal? That's why they lose every year. It's just more of like, I thought it was a couple of $1 million over, just for clarity, if you did see me tweet that out. But anyway, that's the Jets. I would generally agree with what the principle of your comment was. So let's pull it. Somebody asked about the Giants. I did want to talk about the Giants as well. The Giants bring in Isaiah Likely. They bring in Jordan Stout. Jordan Stout is also a former John Harbaugh guy, by the way. Maybe Jordan Stout, given that, Cole Strange, 2 years, $13 million with the Chargers. All right, I'll talk about Cole Strange in a minute. But, so John Harbaugh, originally a special teams coordinator. So I think there's actually something to be said about the fact that Jordan Stout is a punter and that John Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator. Maybe he really, really loves John Harbaugh, and he wanted to tell his agent, like, hey, whatever we have to do for me to go play with John Harbaugh again. I think there's actually something to be said about Jordan Stout doing that. Isaiah Likely, I like it. The one signing that I was really surprised by, I'll also pull up the Titans here in a minute. The Titans gave Daniel Bellinger $24 million. That was, I can't say I understood that one. That was one where, I liked Bellinger as a prospect back in 2022. I never thought that Daniel Bellinger was going to be a $24 million contract guy. And Daniel Bellinger has never had more than 300 yards in a season. He's never had more than 2 touchdowns in a season. That's a bad contract. We'll talk more about the Titans in a minute. But for the Giants, you bring in Isaiah Likely, clearly a receiving tight end. You bring back Jermaine Illuminor, an underappreciated player. You bring in Tremaine Edmonds. You bring in Jordan Stout. I like the Giants, the move so far. Let me go ahead and get the Titans while we're here. Let's go ahead and get the Titans. Wan'Dale, I'm going to kind of have the same idea here with Wan'Dale Robinson that I had with Calvin Ridley a couple of years ago when they signed Calvin Ridley. I am not the biggest fan of giving Wan'Dale Robinson $78 million, nearly $20 million a year. But I also understand that you have to upgrade the room and that he had 1,000 yards last year. But we're talking about a player that lifetime has less than 10 career touchdowns. We're talking about a player that, guys, he had 93 receptions in 2024 and didn't have 700 yards. He averaged 7.5 yards per reception. I'm not a huge Wan'Dale Robinson fan, but positively it's a 2-year contract. Look at the guarantee. Oh, sorry, I'm in the way. It's a 2-year deal with the $38 million in guarantees. But I absolutely love the John Franklin Myers signing. I think that's awesome. I think that's a big upgrade. Jeffrey Simmons, John Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson. Either Ruben Bain or Jeremiah Love at number 4 overall. I like what the Titans. I can get behind this vision. So I love the John Franklin Myers signing. Daniel Bellinger, that's a horrendous signing. I'm sorry. I would love to know or I would love to have been in the room when Daniel Bellinger was told that he was going to get $14 million guaranteed for a player that's never had more than 300 yards in a season, for a player that I don't get it, guys. That is one where there's a couple of signings every year where I don't get. This is one. And it's not like Daniel Bellinger is a Jackson Halls in the run game either. So, don't understand that one. But Cordell Flott, Alontae Taylor, those are better signings. Like, you upgrade the corner room. You are in a division with Trevor Lawrence coming off the best year of his career. And, Daniel Jones tore his Achilles. CJ Stroud had a questionable end of the year and all of that. But you're also in a conference where Robert Saleh is not looking to go 6-11 or 5-12. I mean, he wants to play in playoff games. So if you get to the playoffs, you're going to have any of those big dogs waiting for you. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, May, Burrow, Herbert, any of those big dogs. Bo Nix. How could I forget Bo Nix? Sorry, the reigning 1 seed Bo Nix this year. You're going to have all of those guys waiting for you. So you upgrade the corner room. I'm fine with that. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Rather have kept their current tight end, Chig Okonkwo. I personally agree. Somebody said about Money Mitch. Good call. Mitch Trubisky. They did also bring in Mitch. Mitch, I'm actually going to kind of age myself here with this one. If you guys have been on Twitter for kind of like a long time the way I have, I've been on Twitter for over a decade at this point. Mitch had some tweets come out before his draft, and Mitch was into some off-field activities, if you are not aware. All right, so let's keep it going here. MVP Mitch Trubisky. He was the Nickelodeon most valuable player. What is it just Nickelodeon valuable player? I don't know how that part actually works. All right. Developing story. There are questions about whether Alvin Kamara will be moving on from Saints following Travis Etienne. Yeah, no language, no shit. I mean, you give a guy $13 million average annual value. There's going to be some questions there. All right. Wait, BTJ? What are we talking about, BTJ? People are saying BTJ. Why are we screaming in the chat BTJ to the Jets? That would be electric, but that did not happen. I would love for something to break while I am live. I would love that. Sorry, and by the way, while we are live, the Broncos are re-signing J.K. Dobbins. 2 years, $20 million, 8 guaranteed. Okay. All right, so we're all caught up. Did I mention anything about Mike Evans? All right, Mike Evans, let's pull that back up. Let's go ahead and pull this back up here. Mike Evans, let's pull the 49ers up. It was initially reported it was like a 3 for $60 million deal, and that's actually what comes up on SpotTrack right now. But somebody said that there was a tweet about it's actually like a 3-year, $42 million deal. 3 for 60 for Mike Evans at this point is a lot, depending on what the guarantees are. But 3 for 42 is a lot more stomachable. And the 49ers have not lost Jawan Jennings yet, though I think we are all. I mean, they're going to now that they signed Mike Evans. So if Mike Evans can play, if Mike Evans stays healthy, I like him for $14 million per year. It's not. I would be shocked if this is a actual 3-year deal. I would be very surprised by that. But if you get Mike Evans for a good year, and if Mike Evans can stay healthy, I would think that he can bring in, maybe 60 balls, 700, 800 yards. I would like that. So, I would like that. All right, let's keep it going here. Somebody asked about the Bills. D. Alford, Kyle Allen, I mean, what do you want me to say? Kyle Allen is, like, if you are a Bills fan right now, you re-sign, or sorry, not re-sign, you bring in Kyle Allen on a 2-year deal, you are, like, hoping that Kyle Allen never sees the field at all. You don't want Kyle Allen to take a snap in your new stadium, unless it is to kneel down at the end of a game. And actually, you want one start out of him a year. It's week 18. Josh takes the first snap to get the start streak alive, and then Kyle Allen plays the rest of the game. But you don't want Kyle Allen to play. So I would say no thoughts on the Kyle Allen signing, other than cool. I mean, you don't want him to play, and I would say even if they brought in a old wily veteran backup like a Case Keenum, and Case did spend some time in Buffalo, does it really matter? Is that backup going to do anything for? Is that backup going to do anything for Josh Allen? Is he going to say, "Hey, Josh, actually on this dig route, you need to watch for this guy's hip placement. I was actually watching tape last week, and yeah, Josh, this corner, he actually lines up 12.4 yards outside, and when his hip actually turns to the 87th degree instead of 90 degrees to the line of scrimmage, you can hit you can hit DJ Moore on that dig route right there." No. So I don't really have I don't really have any thoughts on Kyle Allen. D. Alford, not a lot there either. Hopefully you have some more stability in the corner room. I do want to see more from Maxwell Hairston in his second season. But with the Bills also losing Taron Johnson, I would have more thoughts on that than D. Alford or Kyle Allen. But I want to see more from Maxwell Hairston opposite of Christian Benford, and D. Alford, nickel corner. I just feel like $15 million or $5 million for a nickel corner is, I feel like that's low, and I would say be aware of what you paid for. So that's kind of where I would say that. So let's keep it going here. There's a lot of chats to get to. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go back with me on the screen. There we go. I'm going to go back, rapid fire, interact with the chat here. Let's pull this back up here. All right. Let's go. Let's see here. So hold on. There was one chat specifically there about D. Alford. Where was it? I wanted to just clearly get this D. Alford chat. Somebody just commented about D. Alford. Where was it? D. Alford slander will not be tolerated. I wasn't trying to be slander as much as it's just like, hey, you paid him $5 million per year. Just be aware of what you are paying for. All right. Let's see here. There are some super chats, which I do appreciate. Promise we'll get to everything here in a minute. Flexi says, local media saying my Commanders will be aggressive. OA seems like a good start. What do you think of Washington's free agency so far? Love the content. Appreciate it as a fellow DMV resident. And I think OA in theory is a little bit of an overpay, but where I go back to is Jaden's still a couple of years away from even signing a contract, and I'm not really, if you overpay by a couple of million, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, what a horrible signing. Odafe Owe is the next Albert Hainsworth. But they also brought in Tim Settle. Think that's fine. I do like the Amik Robertson signing, and they also brought back Marcus Mariota. I generally like what the Commanders have done so far. If you're looking for a grade, probably give it a B+. Too evil to hope. Appreciate it. What are your thoughts on trading Gernard and this year's first for Jalen? So I did address this earlier. That would be the ideal trade if the Vikings are to trade Jonathan Gernard. Also, does Kyler coming in essentially end McCarthy's career? I would say no. JJ is only 23 years old. And also within this, JJ is, he's only played 10 games. So and there was progress towards the end of the season. I don't care what the national media tells you. I don't care if the media says, oh well, it was actually this or that. There was progress from JJ towards the end of the season. Kyler coming in definitely brings in like a hey, let's have some stability here in case JJ stinks again next year. But I don't think that it essentially ends his tenure. We have a new member alert. Appreciate it, Evan. Appreciate it. Welcome to the Next Level Analyst. Appreciate you being a member. All right. Patiently waiting for the Saints to sign Devin Lloyd. Curious where do you think Devin Lloyd signs? I predicted the Commanders, although I don't think that they're going to sign him now that they signed Odafe Owe to a 9-figure contract. I kind of had in my head that Odafe was going to be a Patriot. I thought it'd make a lot of sense for him to go there. So, all right, let's keep it rolling here. Thoughts on the Vikings so far? They signed a 5-time future first-team All-Pro in James Pierre. James Pierre had a really good 2025 season with the Steelers. Now he enters a corner room with Isaiah Rodgers and Byron Murphy. 2-year deal. Thought it was really good value. Thought it was a good first move for Rob Brzezinski, the interim GM. That's the only move that we've made so far. I did tweet out the meme of Patrick Starr, like whenever the rocks or whenever the snails raced, and Patrick's like, it's okay, Rocky, like take your time. Yeah, I tweeted that meme out for Rob Brzezinski because we only had one move today. So we'll see what else happens. Did I talk about your Rams, Omar? I did. Like what they're doing. Really, really like what they're doing. Really like what they're doing. So we did talk about your Rams. Would love for the Bills to get Hendrickson. Yeah, I don't blame you. I would want the Bills to get him too if I were a member of the Mafia. Missed some of the stream, says Arlo. What are your thoughts on the Bears free agency so far? I do like the Bush deal in particular. So let's go ahead and get to that real quick. Let's go ahead. Hold on here. Let's go ahead and pull up the Bears. So the Devin Bush was actually one of the better free agent signings of the day in terms of value. I'm not sure. Okay, so we did discuss the Bears a little bit earlier. I'm not sure why the Devin Bush did not pop up. But that was... I love that signing. That's one where it's like, as your rival, you're like, you're just kind of like, damn, I wish they did not make that move because that's actually a really good move. So, thoughts on the Bears free agency? Thought they upgraded the defense with Gallimore, especially Devin Bush and Kobe Bryant. So it's all you can ask for. To bring back Braxton Jones for $5 million, loved it. All right, Monty the legend, Broncos fan. Appreciate it. Says, don't hate Denver's free agency as much as most. Only egregious move is bringing back Troughton. Yeah, I didn't care for that. More worrying rumor was Patton had a deal for Waddle at the deadline, but Sean vetoed, and now rumor is the same happened this past week. Oh, so you're telling me that Sean Payton got in a power struggle? Is that? I'm shocked. I'm just wow. Didn't think that would happen. No, I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. I would not be surprised if that came out to be true. Sean Payton's also always had a weird thing for his guys where it's like, hey, like Adam Troutman getting a contract extension. Why? I mean, you're telling me that you just have to prioritize Adam Troutman, a 7th-year player from the University of Dayton, who has lifetime 115 receptions for 1,228 yards and 10 touchdowns. That was. You just had to bring him back. He's never had more than 263 yards in a season. I don't get some of the moves sometimes, man. But the thing is with Denver's free agency, you're gonna have the draft. Yeah. I mean, they're still going to bring in a linebacker. I also liked them bringing back J.K. So we'll see. My favorite channel on YouTube. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's keep it going here. Do you think Kyler signs with the Vikings as a backup or pursue baseball? He's definitely not going to pursue baseball. Guys, there's the thing that I'll say about baseball. I did talk to my guy, Marcus Whitman, about this. We actually had this conversation. And I used to be a big baseball fan. Like, I could tell you about, like, a relief pitcher in 2007 for the Red Sox, Ramon Ramirez. He played for the Rockies and the Red Sox. I could tell you about, like, Eric Bedard for the O's or Jay Gibbons for the O's. I mean, I could tell you like Nick Johnson, the old first baseman for the Nats from like 20 years ago. I mean, I loved baseball growing up. Just to like, name some random players off the top of my head. But minor league baseball is not fun. And Kyler Murray would not want to, I want to think how I want to word this here, but nobody would want to go from the NFL level of, I don't want to say like getting pampered. That's not what I'm trying to say. But the NFL level of the hospitality and the care that these guys have to, let's go. I mean, these minor league towns, you could be playing in Toledo, Ohio for 3 nights. And then you could go from Toledo, Ohio to like Columbus. And then you could go over to Akron. And then you might go to Youngstown, Pennsylvania, or Johnstown, Pennsylvania, rather, in a span of like a week and a half versus, hey, let's have one game at home at US Bank Stadium against the Packers where I will get paid substantially more because you have to go through the minor leagues. So Kyler's not going to do baseball, guys. He's not going to, I promise, he's not going to do baseball. He's not. Let's just like get that out of the way. And what was the actual? Sorry, I just kind of went on the baseball. I get passionate about old baseball. Like I loved baseball growing up. So do I think he actually signs with the Vikings? Yes, I do. And by the way, for Kyler specifically, it's supposedly like he can't sign until like Wednesday. It's really hasn't been discussed that like any other team's going to sign Kyler. So I very much think that Kyler is a Viking and that it's, I don't want to say like over, but I don't think there's going to be anybody that actually like signs him other than the Vikings. So, do you think the Saints are moving on from Alvin Kamara? I do, personally. All signs point to that. And I actually want to pull up. I would be surprised if they sign Travis Etienne to a 4-year, $52 million contract. And I know Mickey Loomis will manipulate the cap and do everything. I know that's coming. I know that, right? I would be surprised if they didn't do something with Kamara. I feel like they maybe not though. I'm looking at his contract now. Let me actually retract that. Kamara will be 31. They don't save anything this year though. So maybe not. Maybe if one more year with Kamara. Maybe they don't like the development of Devin Neal. Maybe they don't with Alvin Kamara this year. Even next year they still don't save a lot. Maybe they don't. I kind of said that without like looking at the contract, admittedly. Just thinking that, hey, we just gave a guy an average annual value of $13 million per year. Maybe they give him one more year. We'll see. All right. Let's see here. I feel like Denver has a solid chance to get Kamara. We'll see. I actually want to look at the trade. If they let me see if they were to trade him this year. It'd be a huge cap hit for the Saints, so it wouldn't even make sense. The only way that they would trade Kamara is if it's post June 1st. So if you are a Saints fan, let me know. We'll see. AK said he would retire before he plays elsewhere. Actually, I did see that. I did see that. I did see that. I did see that a couple months ago. Good call. Good call. Good call out, guys. Good call out. Good call out about that one. Good call out. All right. Let's see here. Let's keep it rolling. All right. Let's see. Really going after Akron like that? No, I wasn't trying to go after the Rust Belt of the country or Ohio/Pennsylvania. I was just trying to say that, hey, would you rather play once on Sunday, walk out with however much money that they, an NFL player's walking out with, a 17th of his salary against one team one time, and then you are home with your family that night and you have like a standard football schedule, or would you rather be out on the road 1,000 miles away from your family in a hotel for like 6 months of the year? It's that's what I'm saying more than anything. Like being a minor league player is not like it is not like something that you would want to be a part of. All right, let's see here. Kyle, appreciate it. Says, hey, longtime viewer, appreciate it. Just curious, what do the Niners do at this point? Stay healthy. That's been a thing for a long time. Stay healthy. I will be, again, fully open here. I am not the most well-versed. Like, I am not educated enough on the Trent Williams situation to sit here and say, hey, they need to do this with Trent. The best thing would be to bring Trent back. I will comment on that, but it seems like every year there's, hey, Trent Williams wants this, Trent Williams wants that, Trent Williams in a holdout, Trent Williams, it's just always something. So I would say to bring back Trent would be number one in terms of like actual priorities. That's going to be your number one priority there. And then other than that, I would say could certainly use another pass rusher to some degree, because once Nick Bosa went down, it was not great. I also did not like the Micah Williams pick last year at all. Just being honest, I thought he was like a early to mid second round prospect. They took him at 11. I did not like that at all. But another pass rusher would be good for the 49ers. All right, let's keep it going here. A couple super chats, rapid fire. A couple rapid fire here. All right. Edward, appreciate it. Though we did get Max Crosby, we're acting like the sky is falling, which I get, but at the same time, it's literally only day one. Yeah, Ravens fans, I live in Maryland. I definitely, at times, a dramatic fan base, I will say. My fan base, the Vikings, incredibly dramatic fan base, I would also say. And if you're not, then you know you're not. But no, I love Ravens fans. Ravens fans are awesome. But at times, I'm like, guys, you have Lamar Jackson. Like, you are a great team. You have a really, really well-run organization. I promise they'll get it figured out. And by the way, I know losing Tyler Linderbaum obviously stinks, but positive, you also are not bringing back Daniel Falele, and you brought back John Simpson. So that's a positive there. So I do like that for the Ravens. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Flexi, appreciate it. Biggest needle mover signings so far this free agency? It's a good question. I really like Linderbaum and Jalen Naylor to the Raiders. Malik Willis also like that for the Dolphins. We'll discuss that more in tomorrow's video. John Franklin Myers, love that for the Titans. And I would also say Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. Let's keep it going here. Let's keep it going. That is, my Pet Bearded Dragon, appreciate it as always. Last thing is the dream of 4/5-time consecutive offseason champs dead, or is there hope for the draft? I'm already getting ready to raise the banner. That's from a Bears fan. I love the self-awareness there. What I would say is for the Bears, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it this year. I really don't. I don't know if you're going to be able to, like, hey, the Bears are going to be off-season champs again, because it was very much like Rome Odunze, Caleb Williams. It was everybody. It was Ben Johnson. It was the interior offensive line. I don't think the Bears are actually going to be off-season champions this year. All right, let's see here. With all due respect, talk more about the Niners. I mean, okay, let's just pull up there. I want to pull up their depth chart here. Again, I will go back to the fact that I am not well versed on the Trent Williams situation, other than the best thing to do is to bring a Hall of Famer back. That should not be like a bold, oh my gosh, bring him back. Number one. All right. I would not be opposed to them bringing in another running back. I am not, like, their whole backfield is not, I'm just not like, hey, this is a guy. I also never understood why, like, we saw a little bit of flashes from Isaac Guerrero a couple of years ago, and then it was kind of like letting the genie out of the bottle, and then it was like, oh, by the way, like, yeah, we're actually not going to play him much again. Now, obviously, Christian McCaffrey is like Christian McCaffrey, but I just feel like you'd want to sprinkle in more Guerrero carries. So, Mike Evans, like the signing for an average of $14 million per year, it's certainly not a 3 for 42. Unless he's still balling in 2 years, it's not a 3-year deal. That's agent speak. Like the value there for an average of 14 per year. There were talks, somebody said today that Mike Evans might get 27 per year. Even on a 1-year deal for Mike Evans, $27 million per year, I thought was horrible. I thought that would have been a horrendous deal. But for the rest of the 49ers to improve, you definitely need Alfred Collins, CJ West to have more of a bigger role in 2026. Again, I will stand by, like, I'm not a Micah Williams guy, and you certainly need more help at pass rush aside from Nick Bosa and everybody else. Bryce Huff you took the Eagles left, or what was it, the Jets? Hold on, he had the good year with the Jets, and then so you took the Eagles leftovers there. I'm all for, like, a dart throw on that, by the way. Fred Warner is undoubtedly a Hall of Fame talent when healthy. If he's healthy, you're good. That's going to be the biggest thing there, is health with both him and Nick Bosa. And I honestly like a lot of the 49ers secondary. I really do. So that goes back to what I said the first time, Kyle, is to bring in more pass rush. If you want to bring in another receiver, I would be fine with that. If you want to bring in, of course, more offensive line depth would never hurt. Go for it. And if you want to bring in another running back not just in case if Christian gets hurt, but just the fact that Christian is or will be 30 years old this year, and he's not going to play forever, so there kind of needs to be at some point a succession plan with Christian McCaffrey. So I hope we're good there. I thought that was... All right. Let's see here. Browns pick up a lineman and replace Devin Bush. Appreciate it, Carney. Let's go ahead and talk about the Browns here a little bit. So with the Browns, I mean, they were in a really tough position with the offensive line having to replace everybody, like quite literally everybody, right? So with the Browns here, let's take a look here. They bring in Zion Johnson. $16 million is an overpay for who he is. Quincy Williams, 2 years, $17 million, fine. The Zion Johnson is an overpay, but you're also like you have to pay to bring in talent. You're not gonna lose 4 more games now because you paid Zion Johnson instead of somebody else. I also really like the Titus Howard trade. So in terms of what the Browns have done to try and build the offensive line together so far with Zion Johnson, with Titus Howard, obviously Rome was not built in a day, but I at least like what they are going for. So we'll see what else the Browns do. But in terms of the start of Zion Johnson plus Titus Howard, I actually really, I don't like the value of Zion Johnson, but I do like the process of bringing him in, if that makes sense. I hope that answered that. Underdog tweeted Jets and Giants interested in BTJ. I'm sure there's a lot of teams interested in BTJ. All right, Lightwork, appreciate it. 20-piece says, thanks for the content always. Reliable A1 analysis, appreciate it. As a Seattle fan, glad Shaheed and Job are back. Not worried about losing Kobe. K9, great season, but injuries, big running back deal, risky. Let's see here. Though Chiefs getting him hurts. So appreciate the super chat and the comment as well. I would be ecstatic about bringing back Rashid Shaheed if I were a Seahawks fan. So definitely, I would be ecstatic as well. So love that. And then Job as well, it was only 8 per year, so I do like that as well for the Seahawks. And look, the Seahawks are one of the most well-run organizations in the NFL. I mean, they are. Last year there were 3 teams I gave an A+ draft grade to. They were one of them. And I definitely miss on a lot of takes. That was one that I felt really good about, and one that I think I hit on. The Patriots were one of the other ones. I also feel like that was a good take, and the Panthers were the other. So the Seahawks, barring major injuries, they're going to be back next year. Not to the Super Bowl, but they'll be a big contender again next year. Who is the biggest offseason winner so far? From Owen. Appreciate it. By the way, if you guys are enjoying, please like the stream. Helps tremendously and would be very, very much appreciated. All right, biggest offseason winner so far. It's a good question. I just want to take a look here. I would be curious who the Rams are certainly up there because they don't really have many holes in their roster. The Raiders gave out a couple questionable contracts, but they're still doing good. The Raiders, and I would probably say the Rams so far. Raiders and Rams. So, but that will actually wrap up tonight's stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will have a video live tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you don't have notifications on, like I said, maybe turn them on. There's going to be a tremendous amount of content coming out soon. If you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe. Really appreciate the support. Football Analysis, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all those things. And would appreciate if you guys go follow there as well. And as always, until next time, please be safe and have a great day. It's a Monday, so hopefully you're having a great start to your week. Hopefully you have a continued great start to your week tomorrow. And I'll see you then. Love you guys.